Tennis aficionados, welcome back to the channel. We are on the verge of what is arguably the most stunning tournament outside of the four majors on the tennis calendar worldwide. Naturally, I'm referring to the BNP Paribas Open in Indian Wells, California. Allow me to illustrate what Indian Wells actually stands for. For those who may be unfamiliar with the subtleties of the tour, they refer to it as tennis paradise, and they are not exaggerating. A haven of billionaire infrastructure, unmatched luxury, and the ultimate in athletic competition, Coachella Valley is surrounded by the bleak, magnificence of the sand just into mountains. Here, Larry Ellison turned a faltering desert event into a masterpiece of architecture and technology, showcasing the massive Stadium 1, the little but dynamic Stadium 2, world-class food, and a vast campus where the air is almost heavy with prestige, excitement, and the aroma of jasmine. Every player wants to win this competition, and it's the event that every fan wants to go to. With the exception of the official name, it is the 6th Grand Slam. The star power is overwhelming when you look at the BNPA Open entry list for this year. Novak Djokovic continues to strive for flawlessness while defying the rules of biological age. You have the future generation's two-headed monster. The battle between Carlos Alcaraz and Jan Nix, which is quickly defining a new age of the sport, is about to restart. Maya Andrea is the reigning champion on the women's side. You have Aryna Sabalenka's undiluted strength, Iga Swiatek's strategic acumen, and Coco Gauff's national heroics. These are the sports titans. Tournament directors use these names to sell out arenas by plastering them on billboards along Interstate 10. These are the well-known international symbols. However, we are not discussing them today. We are dissecting a headline that has caused a stir in the tennis press community. A headline that fundamentally changed the story of the Sunshine Double this year. This is the undisputed reality and breaking news that is currently occurring in Southern California. Despite what the untrained eye might think, 20-year-old Alexandra Eala is quickly emerging as the BNP Paribas Open star. Give it some time to sink in. When paired with major champions and previous world number ones, a 20-year-old from Quezon City, Philippines, is a box office sensation. We must examine this young woman's extraordinary meteoric rise, which has drastically changed the geography of tennis fandom, in order to comprehend the sheer scope of this transformation. A few days ago, Alexandra Eala shot to a career-high world number 31 in the Women's Tennis Association rankings, marking a new and historic milestone in her professional career. This was more than just a promotion. A fantastic run at the Dubai Duty-Free Tennis Championships, one of the most demanding and important WTA 1000 events on the tour, drove this incredible 16-place jump. She methodically destroyed opponents with better rankings in Dubai, navigating the draw with the calm of an experienced player until facing world number 4 Coco Gauff in the quarterfinals. Even though that match terminated her run, she gained 215 ranking points and about $100,000 in prize money, which helped her surpass her colleagues and establish herself as a top athlete. This global number 31 rating is more than simply a figure. The ticket is a golden one. It serves as a historical standard in the history of the WTA or ADP tours. Alexandra Eala is now the top-ranked Filipino tennis player. She has earned her first career berth at a WTA 1000 event, which is more significant for her immediate future than placing in the top 32. At Indian Wells, she is directly entered into the main draw. She avoids a stressful and exhausting qualifying round. She is purchased in the first round, allowing her to focus on preparation, get some much-needed rest, and acclimate to the infamously difficult desert conditions. She is no longer attempting to ruin the party as the underdog. She is the VIP visitor with a reserved seat at the head table. But why is she the focal point? Why is there such great, almost feverish excitement about her entrance in the tennis world, particularly among the enormous crowds in California? A demographic expansion, spectacular storytelling, and amazing skill come together to provide the solution. We have to discuss the tennis first. You have missed out on one of the most exciting developments in the current game. If you haven't watched Alexandra Eala play in the past 12 months, this player's unlikely giant-slaying run to the Miami Open semifinals in 2025 put the entire tour on notice. That wasn't an anomaly. It was a masterclass. She triumphed over Madison Keys, Elena Eno, and the tough Iga Swiatek, 3 previous Grand Slam champions. She demonstrated that she could control play against the world's top with her powerful left-handed forehand and rock-solid two-handed backhand. In Guadalajara, she won her first WTA 125 championship. At the U.S. Open, she defeated Clara Tauson in a historic victory. From a young phenom to a former junior world number 2 and U.S. Open girls winner, she transformed into a legitimate danger on par with her. Second, we must discuss her mental toughness, which was legendary at the Abu Dhabi Open only a few weeks ago. Fans are flocking to her matches because she set a great example of grit. Eala was put in an apparently hopeless predicament when she faced the seasoned Belarusian Alexandra Sasnovich. She lost the opening set, fought back to win the second, but had a disastrous start to the decisive third set behind 0-4. A 4-aim deficit in the final set is typically a death sentence when playing professional tennis against a seasoned veteran. Eala did not fold the bags, but they are mentally packed. She clawed her way back, drawing on a reserve of resilience that belies her 20 years. She saved match points, painful point by agonizing point. She took advantage of her opponent's tense nerves. After an exhausting 2-hour and 51-minute marathon, she forced a tiebreak and won. In a subsequent interview with the media, she said, "Tagalog na baka yung tibi in dibdo," which translates to deep testing of my inner strength and courage in reference to the fervent Filipino fans who had crowded the arena. That sincerity and resoluteness are captivating. People are unable to turn away when she enters the court because of this. Finally, the cultural phenomenon she represents is the most important reason that makes her the main attraction in California. One of the biggest and liveliest Filipino-American communities in the world is found in Southern California. The Philippines' intense love of basketball and Manny Pacquiao's illustrious boxing feats have marked the country in the sports world for many years. However, I alone has made tennis a huge part of Filipinos' hearts all around the world. In Indian Wells, we are witnessing the start of a cultural takeover. There is a diaspora mobilization. Fans are now traveling down Interstate 10 to Indian Wells to watch Alexandra Eala compete, much like they used to travel to Las Vegas to watch Pacquiao fight. The flags are being brought by them. The energy is coming from them, and they are turning the tennis country club's typically civil golf club ambiances into a raucous, fervent display of patriotism. Ticket requests are increasing according to tournament organizers. Every time she strikes a ball, the practice court audiences fill up to capacity, and Southeast Asian international streaming figures are shattering previous records. She plays more than just tennis. She's a movement. She represents a country's athletic potential on the world's most prestigious stage. We will thus examine in detail how Alexandra Eala created the game that is destroying the greatest in the world. In this in-depth analysis, we'll talk about how her tutors and her stint at the Rafael Nadal Academy helped her develop her strategic acumen. We will examine the implications of the particular event in California for the WDA's future, the economics of international tennis marketing, and the evolving Asian representation in the sport. You won't want to miss this extravaganza. So fasten your seatbelts because the Alexandra Eala period has officially arrived in the desert. We must first examine the basis on which Alexandra Eala's game was developed in order to comprehend how she is currently enthralling audiences in California. One of the most cruel crucibles in all sports is the journey from a highly regarded junior to a prosperous professional. The ghosts of highly regarded players who are unable to make the transition to the senior tour are all throughout the junior circuit. The mental toll is unforgiving. The travel is longer, the margins are thinner, and the power is heavier. Eala, however, handled this change with a measured, almost terrifying accuracy. Her long-standing affiliation with the Rafael Nadal Academy in Mallorca, Spain, is the foundation of her growth and a major factor in her current success. ISA's style of play is a cross between Spanish clay or philosophy and Southeast Asian quickness. Forehands and backhands are not the only skills taught at the Nadal Academy. It imparts pain. It emphasizes the need of high top spin, the requirement of point formation, and the constant stifling pressure that results from forcing the opposition to smash one more ball. Eala has fully assimilated these teachings while working with instructor Joan Bosch on the WTA Tour. Her left-handedness instantly gives her a clear tactical edge. Her cross-court forehand's inherent spin causes it to kick high into right-handed opponents' backhands. Rafael Nadal has notably taken advantage of this dynamic for the past 20 years. Eala is more than just a defensive grinder though, especially in the 2 years before to her breakthrough 2025 season. Her baseline game now has a lot more aggression and speed. Her backhand is now a deadly weapon that finishes points rather than just neutralizes them, since she has flattened it out down the line. Her serve, which may be a weakness, has been improved. She opens up the court's geometry with her left-handed slicing serve out wide on the ad court, enabling her to take control with her forehand on the second shot. This is extremely complex first-strike tennis cloaked in a serene, modest manner. The focal point of a WTA 1000 event is not enhanced by physical tools alone. What distinguishes the great from the good is the use of such instruments under intense psychological pressure. We must go back and review the match against Swiatek in Abu Dhabi because it is essential to comprehending Eala's present situation. The brain usually goes into a state of preservation when a player loses 0-4 in a decisive set. The mental dialogue switches from how do I win to how do I leave this court without totally embarrassing myself. This mental surrender is reflected in the physical body. Footwork becomes slack. Errors and reductions in racket head speed compound. An experienced tour veteran, Sasnovich was aware of this. She thought the young Filipino would lose it. However, Eala has a mental toughness that is generational. Rather than becoming alarmed, Eala compartmentalized a deficit. She turned away from the scoreboard and began concentrating just on the present point's execution. She pressed harder, making Sasnovich hit through her as if to ask the veteran, "Do you have the nerve to hit winners to close me out?" The intensity changed as Sasnovich got closer to the finish line. It was Sasnovich who started the double fault. Her forehands were commonplace. Eala became more aggressive when she felt the blood in the water. She changed the entire stadium's energy with a spectacular backhand winner to break back for 5-3. It is extremely uncommon to be able to change the psychological script in the middle of a match. We identify it with athletes like Serena Williams and Novak Djokovic. It is astounding how well a 20-year-old can control their emotions. She is a must-see in Indian Wells because of her dramatic flair and assurance that a match will never be fully over until the umpire signals game, set, and match. The stadium and its patrons demand more than just a tennis clinic. They want to witness a Tessa Will Street fight. Eala continually offers that drama. Let's now examine the boardroom from a different angle. Like any business, the WTA is a worldwide enterprise that is always looking for growing markets and marketable superstars. Narratives, rivalries, and demographic growth are all very important to the tennis industry. The Asian market has been the tour's main focus for many years. We witnessed the rise in interest in tennis in China, driven by the innovative Lin. We witnessed Naomi Osaka's enormous commercial success in Japan, where she combined social activism, high design, and devastating power to establish a worldwide brand. The WDA's next great frontier is represented by Alexandra Eala. With a population of more than 115 million, the Philippines has a very high social media involvement rate and an intense love of sports. Additionally, it is estimated that there are over 12 million Filipinos living abroad, with the majority of them residing in affluent areas like the Middle East and North America. The arena in California feels like Manila when Eala performs there, and the same is true in Dubai. It becomes a home game in the Indian Wells Tennis Garden. For sponsors and event organizers, this is a veritable gold mine. The BNP Paribas Open is a huge business venture. Products are flying off the shelves. When a player like Eala becomes a major attraction because fans come early to see her practice and stay late to get her autograph, food and beverage sales will increase. It implies that the value of broadcast rights in Southeast Asia increases dramatically. International partners of WTA organizations such as PIF and Morgan Stanley. Eala is an exceptionally well-spoken, multilingual, and diligent young lady who has the ability to independently open up a huge new market for consumers. We are seeing the effect of Manny Pacquiao. When Pacquiao moved to the tennis court, his fights attracted more than just boxing fans. He brought a country because everyone was glued to a television during his bouts. Entire cities in the Philippines had record-low crime rates. For a country that is obsessed with basketball, tennis has a more difficult learning curve. But Eala's record ranking of number 31 and her enormous slang performances have become well known. Newspapers around the country feature her on their top pages. On social media, she is trending all over the world. Her shoulders look wonderfully broad enough to support the weight of the nation's sporting pride. But what happens now? The excitement is genuine. The ranking is guaranteed. The seats are reserved. While the unseeded players work their way to the first rounds, Eala is in the final 32, relaxing and getting ready. Indian Wells is known for its unusual conditions. Through the thin desert air, the ball flies. However, the court surface is extremely sluggish and gritty, which grips the ball and makes it bounce fiercely high. These circumstances are perfect for Alexandra Eala. She can set up her big top spin forehand in the additional fraction of a second thanks to the sluggish grainy surface. Long attritional rallies are quite natural for her because she trains on Spain's sluggish red clay. Her left-handed spin will also be even more deadly because to the high bounce, especially when she faces players who have a one-handed backhand or who find it difficult to create their own speed from above their shoulders. At a WDAY 1000 event. Though winning a title is never an easy feat, she will be shielded in the early going because she is seeded, but she will be in direct contact with the game's titans. Under the lights of Stadium 1. A rematch with Coco Gauff, who recently defeated her in Dubai, would be a major event. It's an exciting tactical matchup between Eala's organized powerful offensive and Gauff's elite movement and unbreakable defense. Instead of letting Gauff convert the match into a track meet, Eala will need to serve with a very high percentage and be prepared to go forward to the net to finish points. The situation completely changes if she happens to run into an Elena Rybakina or an Aryna Sabalenka. Those players can knock the racket out of an opponent's grasp with their powerful flat strikes. Eala's defensive abilities as well as her capacity to absorb pace and redirect will be tested to the utmost against that level of extremely aggressive ball strikers. She will have to use her slice, alter the rally's flow, and deny them the regular waist-high balls they enjoy crushing. However, this is the stunning truth of the WTA Tour in 2026. There has never been a smaller difference between world number 1 and number 31. Eala can defeat anyone in the world on any given Tuesday if she is hitting the ball cleanly and has a fixed mindset. Last year in Miami, she demonstrated that. In Abu Dhabi, she demonstrated it. She isn't a dark horse anymore. To summarize, she is a known menace. It's not just an unexpected headline that Alexandra Eala is the star of the BNP Paribas Open in California. It is the natural result of years of unwavering commitment, tactical development, and an unbreakable spirit. We are seeing a prodigy develop into a formidable force. She broke national records, rose to a career-high global number 31, and established herself as a serious contender on the biggest stages of the tour. Her journey from Quezon City's courts to the immaculate grounds of the Rafael Nadal Academy, and now to the bright lights of the California desert, is proof that talent can overcome any obstacle with the correct support system and an unwavering desire. She no longer only plays for money or ranking points. Her goal is to make history by inspiring a new generation of young girls in the Philippines and throughout the global diaspora who now see a reflection of themselves holding trophies on international television. She is redefining what is possible for athletes from her nation. The excitement is evident as we anticipate the next fortnight in Indian Wales. Will she continue to do well into the second week? Can she defeat another player in the top 5 in the desert? Will she win her first WDAY 1000 title? Fans will be on the edge of their seats as they answer these questions. But no matter how this particular tournament turns out, one thing is very evident. It's Alexandra Eala. She is no longer tennis's future. She is an exciting, alluring gift. The Sunshine Double is just the start of what looks to be an incredible 2026 season that will culminate in clay court season when her game is perhaps even more potent. I sincerely appreciate your participation in this in-depth exploration of Alexandra Eala's remarkable ascent. In order to ensure that you never miss our in-depth tennis analysis, please remember to hit the subscribe button, like the video, and enable notifications if you enjoyed this thorough dissection. We will be here to chronicle every forehand, backhand, every significant breakthrough as the WTA landscape changes. I'd like to hear from you now. Tell me how far you think Alexandra Eala will advance in this year's BNP Paribas Open by leaving a comment below. By the end of the 2026 season, do you believe she has what it takes to place in the top 10 or even the top 20? Let's start a discussion. Do you want me to analyze her tactical matchups in detail? Tell me when Indian Wells' official main draw is announced later this week, and I'll see you in the following video. Continue to be involved, keep interested, and take pleasure in tennis parody.